so much, everyone. For the next few minutes that we have left on the program, we're going to be asking some critical questions. And as Nigeria struggles with its present challenges, security, unity, and the search for national identity, our past still speaks so loudly. Healing may be required more than just moving on from some of what we have seen as clashes, differences. It may demand acknowledgement, dialogue, and a symbolic gesture like a Civil War memorial to honor the dead on all sides. Nigeria has really seen tough period and tough past. So tonight we leave you with a question. Can a nation truly move forward without confronting the full truth of its past? Perhaps, as this essay which I read about reconciliation is not just for the Igbo or the victim, but for the soul of Nigeria itself. The article was written by the second son of the late Afenifere leader, lawyer, Pa Adebanjo. Mr. Shegun Adebanjo is live for us in our Lagos studio. He's a venture capitalist and entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebanjo, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening.
When I read that, there was a feeling that it gave me, and we don't quite have a lot of time. But what gives you the sense that we need that kind of healing procedure for us to be united as a people?
Well, it's very, I thought it would be quite apparent. I don't know too many countries that have had civil wars like we have and don't have a memorial. And particularly for the fact that we have new generations of Nigerians growing up, and that prior experience has not been adequately addressed, either to address the traumas of it and those that suffered from it as victims on all sides. So as a nation, in terms of nation building, I think it's the one perfect thing that, particularly like a president currently like Asiwaju, who's, you could deem a Yoruba president who's kind of on the neutral side, to give a balanced catharsis for the nation so we can move past that and try and meld together more united. And I think it's fundamental that if people don't feel that that has been acknowledged, they are lost from that era and the wrongs on all sides. I think it's just fundamental to nation building. If we think we want to develop as one nation, that we have that, particularly somewhere in Abuja, that all the names of those who were lost during the Civil War is memorialized.
Now, I know your father very well. It's like a grandfather, but called me friend. And he was on this trajectory about uniting the nation. And it was one of in the forefront of identify the true identity of Nigeria. But I see on Twitter these days on social media how I didn't know that Nigeria was this divided until you get to Twitter. And that's where you, in fact, people are asking Gurk, the AI tool, and questions that will further explain the division and the gap, ethnic gap and the tribal gaps. And you have ascribed that there's little knowledge about what has happened to us in the past. You look at those who say history being taken out of our curriculum is a major problem. But how many years now since the Civil War? What more can we do to make the restructuring process that Pa Adebanjo preached before he died? Is it part of the process, or what exactly? Or is it a political will? Is it government of the day? Where do we start from exactly? Because definitely the younger generation are terribly divided.
Yes, well, the first thing we need to do is actually understand the problem. Let's know that our problems is designed. Nigeria was actually designed to fail by the colonial masters. You need to grasp the gravity of that. Even in our textbooks, in my generation, when we still were taught history, they told us they adopted a divide and rule strategy. That still persists today. There are things baked into our union that forces us to be divided so we do not develop. A friend of mine gave a very good analogy where you have football teams, for instance, whether you're Chelsea or Man U. The rivalry that is orchestrated between the fans of those two football teams is mind control. It's deliberate because the owners of those football teams benefit from the passions that are engendered within that. People are passionate, they buy tickets, sometimes it even leads to violence. Nigeria is in a similar position where maybe they just throw out a concept that there's something called Igbo and Yoruba rivalry. Where did that come from? These two people have lived together for thousands of years. There was no rivalry. So until someone just orchestrated that as a template to keep those two united, because of course if you have Igbos and Yoruba united, you probably would unite across the entire South and the Middle Belt and change. Because what happens is the reason why we have bad government in terms of we don't have good leaders emerge, and even those who emerge, we can't hold them accountable because the people are divided. That's it. So the crux of it is we are designed to fail so that we're designed to be divided so that we fail. And that's why there's things like the Civil War Memorial I'm talking about, and people understanding how what my friend called Oyibo Wayo is at play in all the things that happens in the country. And it plays even, for instance, when you see distracting things like Big Brother, which is distracting our youth from focusing on the issues. Some of these things are deliberate. Let's not think it's an accident. It's not even when we talk about...
Sadly, I think I need to get you back on the program because we're totally out of time. But what I saw and what I see in some of your engagement is you also talk about the state of the nation, the economy, for example. Is it what you have described now, is it also one of the reasons why you said that we are not properly structured? Just in 30 seconds.
Okay.
How do you review or how do you assess the present state of the economy?
Well, on the economy, that's even more fundamental. What we need to fix is the capacity of the government to print money. It is totally, I can say, lawless because you had Buhari print 30 billion and there's no accountability today. We need to have a law that helps us restore faith and credit in the Naira, which is we restrict the ability of the central bank or the president to just print money willy-nilly. I think there should be a death sentence, actually, for any CBN governor, managing director of the Mint, or a president that facilitates an unlawful printing of the Naira. Because that's where all our wealth is tied into as a country. And it's a mechanism to steal from the poor and give to the rich.
Mr. Adebanjo, we are totally out of time. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Segun Ayo Adebanjo, venture capitalist and entrepreneur, second son of the late Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.